I'll do another actual real video on this later, but in pairing it with the worksheet that I did, here's how, especially if you want to do clearing rounds right and you haven't done them in a while, or it's like, hey, there's some stuff in the forum that we need to work through. Here's the best way to do it. So you'll go around right at the beginning of the meeting, you do your one word open, confidentiality, reminder, shutdown, technology, and then go straight into the clearing rounds. And you start with one person. That person will make eye contact with every other member in the forum. You'll go right around the room. I'm good with you. I'm good with you. I'm good with you. I'm not clear with you. And then in the worksheet, I talk about it. But the short story is you open, try to keep it with facts, but you open with, I feel X. You got to include that statement. I feel X. I feel disrespected. I feel frustrated. I feel scared. I feel lost. I feel disappointed, whatever. I feel X because, and then say the other, whatever the issue is. In that issue, what you'll talk about is specifically what happened. So don't make inferences for what the other person. I feel like you've been thinking that yada, 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 or whatever it might be. But you say, hey, when you made this comment, I felt offended. Hey, when we had that discussion, I felt like I was being talked down to. I felt like whatever. It's also great if you can tie it back to the values of trust and respect that EO has. When you're doing this, let the person, so that person gets to finish their entire thought, right? And then normally they'll say, hey, going forward, or I'd like to hear about, your experience, or I'd like to hear you XYZ. And then normally they'll include like, hey, going forward, I'd appreciate it if X, right? That's that. What happens on the other person? So when you're going around the other person, so Samira, let's say it was you and I had beef with you, and I'd say, not beef, sorry. I had an issue to clear with you. I would say, Samira, I'm not clear with you. I feel like when we discussed, when we were talking about parenting and whatnot, I felt like in that last forum, you got preachy with me and you broke forum mindset. And so I am probably not going to be as vulnerable now because I just don't feel like it's the safe space. And so my request is that going forward, we maintain forum mindset. When you go to respond, you cannot interrupt. So you have to let me totally finish. The response, so what Samira would say is not, well, I hear what you're saying, but the moment that the other person says, but, they are now immediately just excusing, but I disagree with you. But you can have all those things, but is not an acceptable response in the clearing round process. What Samira would say is confirming the facts. Hey, Colton, what I heard you say is that you were frustrated and feeling less vulnerable. Is that right? I would say, yeah, that's right. You'd say, I heard you say that because in our last forum, when you were vulnerable about parenting, I was breaking, you felt like I was breaking forum mindset. Yes, that's correct. Normally that person, Samira, would apologize. Hey, you're right. We've made a commitment to this. We've made a commitment to trust and respect, or to honor the Constitution, or, honoring forum mindset. And so I apologize for that. Going forward, I'll make sure to maintain forum mindset. That's the easy version for how it goes, or the mature version. My arm's getting tired, so I gotta post it this way. So what happens after that? So let's say the other person disagrees, right? Well, the benefit is it doesn't change the intro to it. So the person's gonna open with, hey, let's say Samira disagrees. She didn't think she was feeling like she broke forum mindset. She would say, hey, Colton, I heard you say that you felt disappointed or disrespected, and you felt like I was, you felt XYZ, right? Okay, yes, that's it. She says, she in her mind is not doing it. She may say, I know we have a difference of opinion there, but I want to make sure that we're still engaging with trust and respect. What I encourage everybody in these clearing rounds, especially like I've been in so many where things have happened mainly because of difference of religious beliefs. It could be political beliefs. It could be an offensive joke that was told at dinner. It could be all kinds of stuff. The focus is not on litigating whether or not one person can feel offended. The benefit is everybody's entitled to their own feelings, right? And so that's why I say to start off with that, because it's not fair for Samira to say, well, you shouldn't feel that way because that's not what I intend. That's not what I intended to make you feel. Or, well, you interpreted it that way, but that's not none of that stuff's actually helpful. right? At the end of the day, regardless of the circumstance, it's two people that respect each other inside forum. And one of them is now feeling less vulnerable, less safe, whatever it might be. The point is not to get everybody to agree. The point is that if Samira says, let's say Samira doesn't think that she broke forum mindset, but I'm saying I did. What would Samira say? Hey, going forward, I'm going to make sure that, especially when we're in forum, now granted, this is a very clear case, like it's very clear whether you're in forum mindset or not. But Samira might say, hey, going forward, I'm going to make sure, and I may do some check-ins when we're doing it. I may check in after the next experience shares that I'm doing. Anytime that you're doing a deep dive and you've put the deep dive topic on the table, I'm going to make sure that I stay within forum mindset, right? That's the way that you handle this stuff. Again, not everybody's job to get it concluded, and so let me wrap up the process. So we do that. Samira says her thing. When each person gets to respond, nobody else interrupts. Nobody interrupts the other person. So even if I feel like when Samira is responding, she's saying things that aren't true or this or that or whatever, it doesn't matter. Each person speaks until they're done speaking, right? So that's what happens. And then you continue around the circle. I'm clear with you, I'm clear with you, I'm unclear with you, etc. That's what happens. So every individual goes. I normally encourage folks to don't let other folks hop in on it. The only time I say that happens is if it's like, okay, we're now talking about like a forum matter, right? Somebody got hammered at retreat and was acting belligerently, right? It depends, man. Sometimes it's fine if you just wait for each person to go and speak. Sometimes that can have kind of a piling on effect. At the same time, it's very important for everybody's opinions and everybody's feelings it's a fair space for that stuff to be voiced, right? At the end of the day, what do I care about? Because not all conflict is resolvable. I care that everybody feels like they're communicating with trust and respect. And for what it's worth, I love forum and I hope forums stay together forever. However, there's also this concept of forums for a season. And so it is entirely possible that sometimes a breach of trust and respect has happened where it can be difficult for folks to reconcile. And then when you face something like that, somebody says, I'm just going to be honest, even after these clearing rounds, or, hey, you think about it and folks come back later on, they may say, hey, I don't know that this forum still feels like a vulnerable and safe space to me. And so for that, I am going to elect to, step out of the forum is one of the options. If that happens, I hope that folks reach out to me to discuss it. There's a way to obviously discuss someone's feelings about forum without breaking confidentiality in the interest of hey, it's still possible to talk about forum health and someone's experiences. Anyway, this is longer than I anticipated. If anybody does want to talk about it, man, reach out to me. I have sat in so many rooms helping forums navigate really difficult conversations, especially, honestly, probably since about 2019, 2020, where just a lot of things changed in the world and a lot of folks had different opinions and people wanted to make sure that they navigated these spaces with trust and respect, regardless of who they voted for or what they believe, etc. That's it.